The year 2014 radically changed Ukraine. Military operations in the east of the country have shown the incredible courage of the Ukrainian people. Every day, the modern history of Ukraine remembers the names of heroes who stand guard over peace and sovereignty of their country. The history of revival, formation and achievements of the armed forces of Ukraine and Ukrainian law enforcement agencies in the special project Ukraine in Uniform. Excellent physical condition, daily activities and constant visits to the training ground, interchangeability and knowledge of the foundations of many military professions, sight shooting, overcoming the obstacle course, parachute packing and preparing for jumping. This is a small part of the activities that the paratroopers are engaged in when they do not fight. We continue to get acquainted with the 95th Zhytomyr Air Assault Brigade.
Слава ВДВ, слава разведки!
Слава, слава, слава!
Paratroopers of the 95th Air Assault Brigade overcome any obstacle quickly and without difficulty. In order to deal so easily with the obstacle course, paratroopers train physically every day. These are artificial barriers, and there are many real difficult and dangerous areas in the combat zone. Due to their specific activities, units of the Special Forces of the Airborne Forces have a special status. Therefore, the training of paratroopers differs from other military units of the armed forces of Ukraine. Servicemen of the 95th Brigade are experienced soldiers. Many of them have combat experience, but pre-training is mandatory for everyone. One has to carefully prepare for this difficult procedure. It is impossible to imagine a real paratrooper without a parachute jump. The main purpose of a parachute is not to perform a jump, but to perform a combat mission. The combat mission can be different both in the area of hostilities and on the training ground. Jumping is not an end in itself, it's like an arrival to the battlefield. Many soldiers of the 95th Air Assault Brigade have made dozens of parachute jumps, and some even more than 100. But every time, this is the most exciting moments in their lives. Each subsequent jump is not like the previous one. After all, paratroopers have to open a parachute not only for training jumps, but for different special tasks. A combat jump is a jump made with equipment and weapons. Such jumps can be made from 600 meters as well as 300 meters. It all depends on the task. Over the past 3 years, much has changed in the Ukrainian army. Changes have occurred in the highly mobile landing troops. Russia's aggression has forced a change in the war-fighting tactics. Much has changed. The tactics have changed. Why? Because the units have passed the battle path. The tactics that we previously studied classically differ much. We were given examples from the war that was in Afghanistan or somewhere else, and this is a completely different war. In recent years, highly mobile landing troops have been armed with different types of military equipment. The need for new weapons arose as a result of the military operations in the east of Ukraine. Contrary to pre-war views, the military mobile troops were provided with heavy weapons systems. In particular, the firepower and the artillery power of the highly mobile landing troops was significantly strengthened. Military units have become more universal and capable of performing the tasks assigned to them. The equipment leads to a change in tactics, because the equipment we started to perform tasks with and the ones that we have now are different. There are very positive and great results. Our brigade is probably one of those brigades that have the greatest amount of newest equipment and weapons.
нового зразка.
The paratroopers have to not only cope with submachine guns, highly mobile landing troops are equipped with heavier weapons. Therefore, lieutenants who have recently entered the service in the airborne forces learn the basics of the artillery case.
Збройні сили України, в тому числі і наші
The armed
ВДВшні
forces of
бригади.
Ukraine, and in particular our airborne forces brigades, have strengthened their positions. They keep improving their conduct of battle in the same way as now these lieutenants do. They show that we still need to learn a lot. The paratrooper has to know not only his profession, but all professions. He has to move as an infantryman, if necessary, be an artilleryman, a driver mechanic, and an ordinary driver. For paratroopers, the criteria is very high, but for the specialist paratrooper, the criteria is even higher. Many guys are eager to serve in the airborne forces, but only the most persistent make their dream come true. Dmytro is now among the paratroopers of the legendary 95th Brigade. He is proud that he came to serve in this military unit.
Так, можна сказати, це є дитяча мрія, так як в мене.
Service in the airborne forces is my childhood dream. The fact is that my uncle is also a serviceman in the airborne forces. He set me up for service from an early age. I first went to serve on a contract, and then when I finished university, another dream came true. The first was to become an officer, and the second to get into the 95th Brigade.
95-ї бригади.
The self-propelled howitzer 2C1 Vozdika is not a new invention, but a modernized one. It is made in the Ukrainian enterprise. It has been in operational service with artillery units for several decades.
Дана система ідеальна для більшості родів військ, чим тим, що вона.
This system is ideal for all troops as it is very maneuverable and has a long range of fire, up to 15,200 meters.
Дана техніка на даній базовій частині рекомендувалася б з кращої сторони, тому що ми
We can come to the fighting position, take it, work for the purposes, and almost immediately leave the firing position until the enemy has opened fire on us. We can move to a distance of 200 to 500 meters, again take a new position, and work out new enemy targets. It is possible to open fire, not getting under return fire of the enemy.
не попадаючи під удари артилерії противника.
Here in the training ground, future commanders master different types of artillery equipment. They learn to fire with the self-propelled howitzer Vozdika.
В даному випадку лейтенанти покращують свої знання в даних системах, бо, на жаль, зараз...
In this case, lieutenants improve their knowledge of these systems. They get even more experience in managing such systems in commandership, all while occupying gunner positions. After all, even an officer during the fighting has to be able to replace any soldier. After all, these lieutenants in the future will teach their personnel, their subordinates. They will improve their skills and abilities. And if the officer does not know this, then this is no longer an officer.
Будуть вчити свій підлеглий особовий склад. Вони будуть покращувати їх навички, вміння. І коли офіцер не знає, це вже не офіцер, скажімо.
Now we are teaching the adjustment of the fire, the determination of the coordinates of the targets. This is something new for me. I'm an engineer, and therefore at these gatherings, namely in the airborne forces, I get new knowledge. I feel like a paratrooper. A military uniform, equipment, weapons and training make it possible to feel like a paratrooper. I give my best during military exercises.
Зброя, самі заняття дають це відчути десантникам. Тут я викладаюся на повну.
The paratrooper is a special community of servicemen. Here there are laws of valor and honor. The 95th Air Assault Brigade is an example of cast iron will, courage and loyalty to the state.
Служба в 95-й бригаді для мене це честь.
For me, service in the 95th Brigade is an honor and pride. I'm proud that I serve in the 95th Brigade in Ukraine.
Бригаді в Україні. руках дом, скажем, второй дом стараемся.
The 95th Brigade is a family. Commanders are as fathers. Commanders, assistants, one can even say as mothers. It's a big family. No one can fail and no one will let you down. Because we are one chain. If there is no link, there will be no further movement. If all the links are in place, we'll cope all together.
Если будут все звенья, будут тянуться все вместе.
The 95th Brigade is the pride of the airborne forces. I'm proud of being a paratrooper. I can even tell you that it's a dream from childhood to become a paratrooper. Well, the airborne forces is power. This is the elite. We have the expression of the paratroopers. Airborne forces is power.
У нас выражение у десантника ВДВ сила. Всё, да.
The heroes of today's program defend the Ukrainian state, its sovereignty and territorial integrity. The Ukrainian army does everything possible so that civilians are protected and do not have to take up arms. See you in the next program.